Guys, welcome to this video. Thanks for tuning in and sharing in this now moment with myself and with one another. If you haven't seen these videos before, welcome back. If you have, my intention is unity and oneness and the highest levels of love light. I was trying to get the background and the fire all at once. I kind of succeeded. My husband and I are celebrating our anniversary and decided to just kind of get away for a couple of days and take this opportunity to just be with nature. And I'm just going to take this opportunity to connect through my guidance, my higher guidance team, my inner guidance team, and maybe share a little light language and frequency transmission, whatever. Got the blue jays. The blue jays going crazy right now. Just taking a nice deep breath in and a nice long exhale. As we reconvene with Mother Nature, as we bring ourselves back into the true nature, into our truth, we nurture that which is truly us. We nurture our inner child, our inner youth. This allows us to light up from within, to ignite that which has been dimmed for some. We find ourselves moving into a flow that was perhaps forgotten. We find ourselves moving into this flow, this strange flow, this reunion, if you will, that allows us to move back into what it is that we have forgotten. For many of us have forgotten. Moving along these trails, I'm hearing trail of tears, through many of the different conflicts that we have been presented with, and many choice points in which we have, I'm seeing, been gifted, like opening a present. Although at the time when we make these choice points, they do not always seem clear, if you will. For we have oftentimes, in these times, lost our way, or felt lost, or been in our own way, or gotten in the way of. We are being invited to, I'm hearing, stoke the fire, stoke the inner fire, and light the way. For those of us that have come undone, those of us that are finding our own true inner resources, I'm being shown that we've pulled this thread and it's undoing the old. It's undoing it. It's like, if you want to destroy my sweater, pull this thread as I walk away, Many of us have come undone, and we are we're putting ourselves back together again. I'm being referenced and shown Humpty Dumpty, and it's basically that toroidal spin, right? It's coming back into who we really are and finding our truth roots, our true foundation. And in doing this, we pour forward the foundation for our children, for our brothers and sisters, to assist them on their journey, on taking the next steps in their own journey. We allow ourselves to combine forces, if you will. We bring our ability to foresee that which has been placed in concrete. I'm hearing the concrete jungles of old cities are now cracked and weathered, if you will. For as we come together, we weather the frequencies that have been pulling at us for so long. We find ourselves bucking up against that which is aiming to buck us off the horse, if you will. I'm playing with this. I'm seeing like riding that wild stallion and what that represents. It's trying to knock us off, but then we're recognizing that we're coming into oneness rather than fighting it. But I'm also being shown a buck, like from Harry Potter, right? This stag and the symbology behind that of this higher knowing. And I'm hearing allies. For many of us, recognize that we have our true allies in Mother Nature. As we align, as we realize, as we see with new eyes, as we see with fresh eyes, as we see from within, we spin. We move out of the spin cycle and we spin our own web, if you will. I'm recognizing that web there, what I'm being shown is the internet, right? It's our inner net. We're spinning our own web. And this creates a new frequency in which we can then, I'm hearing, quantify our expression. A new expression then comes forward. It pours forward. It seeps out of us as we bring ourselves into our higher sensory applications. We then learn how to apply what it is that we are learning, what it is that we are recognizing, what it is that we are sensing within this inner capacity, so cap, to see. For we recognize that which many of our old cities and our old foundations were based upon is in the process of deconstructing. We are in the process of deconstructing. We are in the process of reconstructing that which has been So we're reconstructing from a new system, and we're reconstructing based on our foundational principles of love, of gratitude, of sovereignty. And these were not the principles that our old reality structures were based upon from one perspective. And this is essentially what many people are beginning to see. That's a hawk. The messenger, the hawk. And as we feel into this new spaciousness, I'm seeing that a lot of people are feeling a push and a pull. It's difficult for many to feel into this spaciousness right now. But the more we get back in touch with Mother Nature, the easier it is to feel what's real and to step away from that which has been constructed to obstruct our airwaves, if you will, our ability to breathe, to obstruct our inner system, our inner guidance, our inner compass. And this is a play on words, inner compassion. For as we tune back into this inner compass, we step through a new reality grid, if you will. For we have expanded into these new reality structures. We are seeking to meet that which is seeking to meet us. So I'm seeing us expanding out and reaching, and that nature is reaching out for us as well. But we have to step out of the old constrictions. And I'm hearing riding habits. It goes back to riding the horse and power. Oh, I don't know if I recorded that, but I was seeing the wild stallion and us being bucked off the horse, so to speak. But the indigenous people would go bareback on the horse. It's a little bit like, what's the movie where they plug their hair into the horses or the dragons? Anyways, or the trees. Basically, you become one with the horse. And the horse and the rider work together in tune. It isn't about overpowering, it's about working together and utilizing both sets of tools. As the scout, as the rider, and the horse connecting with Mother Earth, our foundation. As we reach out, as we expand out into this more expansive spaciousness, we move away from regrets. We move past our regrets. We see that regrets are merely regression, moving backwards. Sometimes we are invited to move back into a state of regression so that we may recognize what we have learned, what we have access to, what we have a fuller potential of expanding into. This allows us to let go of these old expressions. This allows us to let go of what has been expressed, expelled, let go of, so that we can move into a higher vocabulary, a higher advancement of vocabulary, a higher placement system in the vernaculary. It allows us to turn on a higher sensory system that is in the process of communicating with us, yet has been I'm just hearing it's like moving out of defensiveness, moving out of the need to, gosh, I guess I kind of lost my fire there. Speaking of fire, it moves us into a place of depth, but spaciousness at the same time. Pretty excited about my socks, by the way. They're llamas with rainbows. They're pretty amazing. I don't get to wear them very often. It's the little things, guys. It really is. And these coffee cups, are you kidding me? They're like the perfect size. I could put a bowl of cereal in here. Just saying. So overall, the message is expand, because we feel like we're being pushed and pulled in all these different directions. Contraction, expansion, right? And this is the way it works. But when we recognize that we went backwards, we can then recognize how to move forward again. We can say, oh, I kind of went this direction when I maybe have another choice point or option that I didn't see before. Sometimes it takes us moving backwards in order to see that more clearly. I'm hearing an unfortunate series of events. Sometimes an unfortunate series of events has to occur for us to see the cycle, the cyclical transition, to see the pathway, and to break through the old cycles and the old habit patterns. And what I'm being shown is this has to do with like the pathways in the brain as well. Sometimes we have to hear, I'm hearing Peter Gabriel shock the monkey. We have to shock ourselves in order to say, wait a minute, what have I been feeding into? What habit patterns are no longer allowing me to tap into my inner child, my inner youth, my inner compass? What happened? It's like shocking the heart, right? Sometimes we have to go through grief or sorrow in order for us to feel back into something other than apathy, right? So recognizing that all of these emotions can help to charge us, to charge our frequency, and to get us into a greater space of expansion. And then this is allowing us to move out of the old framework. And as we allow ourselves to, I'm seeing, what's that song, George Michael? Freedom, I won't let you down. Please don't build me up. You got to give what you take. Okay, no, I was really off key there, but you get what I'm saying. Like I'm seeing, put back, what is it? Take back your picture in a frame. Like this was what you thought your life was consistent of. It was in this box, and I'm seeing people getting rid of the old pictures, getting rid of the old frames, because that's not who we are anymore. So why do we keep trying to play in the same sandbox? And that's a play on words. When I say sandbox, I see sands of time. Like we're still playing with this hourglass, but time is different. The framework in which we exist in is bigger. And we're just kind of like carefully expanding out. Some of us are already out there and we're like, whoa, I've got this huge playground to play in I didn't even know that existed, or I didn't even know it was here as an option. So the more we come back into our hearts and the more we come back into reunifying with ourselves, our inner child, the mother, the father, earth, the element, like all of what we really are, then we step out of the need to play in the old sandbox, which is the old playing ground, which is still there in the process of being deconstructed if we want to play in it. Okay. For the grids have shifted so dramatically, and so too has our reality deconstructed so dramatically that many are still hanging on to a looping pattern, feeling lost in the waves, if you will, feeling lost in the habitual patterns and frequencies that have carried them this far. Yet we are being invited to take the leap, to take the jump, for we have jumped timelines. We have jumped into the bigger pool, if you will, the bigger pond, if you will. Our life streams, time streams, versions of us, our versions of realities that we have access to have all broadened, if you will. Looking onto the horizon, we see that much more is here at our fingertips if we allow ourselves to play the keys. I'm seeing the Goonies. Hey, you guys. Where, like, if you play the certain keys on a piano, it opens up the secret passageways to help us find our treasure that's been hidden underneath us and all around us the whole time. I'm being summoned. So I'm actually going to end on that note, just with this little fun word play. I want to just share doing whatever we can right now to kind of balance and find harmony, even if it's only for 5 minutes, as often as possible throughout the day, is so important right now. We are being invited, as those of us that are aware. I like to use that word rather than awake. It's like when we are awake, we see things, but when we're aware, for me, I like to play with that. It's a deeper feeling of, rather than just going, wait a minute, shock to knowing. So I'm being shown that many of us are being invited to step up and hold on to that deeper responsibility. And that's not a pressure. It's our ability to respond with a responsibility to ourselves, to mankind, to Mother Nature, to nurture one another. Oops. And responsibility doesn't necessarily mean screaming at the rest of the world to wake up. What my guides keep saying is, no, it comes from within. It's by being compassionate, holding. When we say holding space, sometimes there's this idea that it's a receptacle for others to just speak their truth, or that's not always what I see holding space, because space isn't empty. We are always connected within this frequency, right? It's like soup. So when we hold space, I like to think of it as holding that wave, the charge, a frequency. And it isn't always easy from a human standpoint or perspective. But the more often we do it, meaning we hold a compassionate, I always call it compassionate, compassion and action, right? And that just means holding that vibration or coherence, where we are coherent enough to understand, to innerstand, to stand in our own inner knowing and not be pulled into someone else's sandbox or hourglass or bandwidth, right? And it allows us then to shift the frequency in which we're walking into. So again, that heart frequency, we step forward into it. And this then changes the frequency at like a tuning fork for others to feel into that if they choose to, or to walk away and not be in that frequency. But we're not pushing it on them. We're just being us. We're just being us. We're beaming us as a subtle force of love light energy. And when we're not feeling like we can hold that wave or that frequency or that charge, it's okay. I mean, we're going to have those moments, and maybe those are the times for us to then reach out to our fellow brothers and sisters and say, hey, you know, what did you do? What have you been reading that's inspired you? What practices do you find are helpful? I'm struggling right now, because we're all helping each other out as we go through these ups and downs, right? But the more consistent we can be in that space, the easier it is to stay in that space and not get knocked off our horse so quickly, or feel like we're fighting to stay on our horse. It's more of an even flow. I'm hearing Pearl Jam. It's more of an even flow. And also, sometimes we just need to be alone and be with a fireplace or Mother Nature or with our children and just play, or go and take a couple of days to just work with the community or do yoga retreat or whatever it might be to regain our composure. When I say composure, it's not this fake facade that everything is sunshine and rainbows. It's literally a composition, writing your own song. And that's that long wave frequency. It's writing, not just riding your horse, but WRITING, composing your own music and directing like a maestro you're orchestrating then, and you're not falling into someone else's orchestrations. And I'm hearing illustrations. I'm hearing illustration. Instead, we are the ones that are then able to draw from our own inner well, our chapel of the heart, our I'm just in awe of how beautiful it is right now. Our own well, our own cup, right? The cup that runneth over. So, in love and light, guys, have a beautiful, maybe a little breath work today, beautiful meditation. Thank you for tuning in and sharing in this now moment with each other. In love and light, guys. Namaste.